actually have a target of 75 million over the next 4 years, which is quite a lot of effort in the current climate to achieve that. But alongside that, we've also got to balance the community use and people wanting to use community assets. But I think we've got to work in our asset management process with partners in the third sector, health, police, fire, education, to actually utilise public assets and sweat them more. This one's a really good example, the one we're in here. It's actually, I was saying this to Councillor Clark I think before, this was actually in our books as 4 different assets. It's a children's centre, it's a professional centre, it's the office block, it's a library, and it's a community centre. So actually this building is one that we actually are using, rather than just a 9-to-5 building, we are actually using it for the benefit of the community, and we need to make sure that we continue to do that. And it's balancing that rather than just having one here, another one down the road, another one down at the top end of Tarvin as well. We can't afford to keep all those things going and sustain them. So that's just really a little bit of background about where we're at and things that are going on, to set it into context for whatever debate we want to have.
No,
Thank you.
Just before you sit down, could you just touch on the point that was raised in the public question time about consultation with the public? I mean, I have no doubt at all you're going to try and get the best consideration reasonably obtainable for all of our assets, which is fine. Okay. But where do the public fit in?
In terms of what assets we dispose of, the policy isn't there to say that we're going to engage with the public on the sale of all of our assets or any of our assets. We engage with the community at large about where services are delivered and how services are delivered, and that's the right thing to do. And the statutory process we need to go through. If we're looking at developing any of our assets, so I know, nice big car park here, and we're going to put some houses on the side of there, maximise value, the public consultation will be through the planning process, and so that would take care of that. We do things properly there. The example that was raised there about County Hall, the County Hall example, it was considered that this is primarily an office block. It wasn't particularly a public purpose building. Services were not delivered directly to the public through the front door of that. So it's not like a library, it's not like an adult services day centre, it's not like that, it's not a leisure centre. So that was the aspect of why public consultation was not pursued over that, because it was actually predominantly an office building. But and I think I have much sympathy with the view of how then did we do consultation over a piece of land which was at the top. And that was because County Hall was owned by Cheshire West and Cheshire East. Cheshire East took the view that that piece of land between the 2 car parks was public open space. And because they were one of the owners, they said, we can't sell that in the deal, we have to go through the statutory consultation process. And that is the reason why we did that advert. Some of us had a different view, that it was just an integral part of the whole thing. But the view was taken, we had a difference of opinion, so we had to follow the process about that small piece of land, because it was about disposal of public open space. And there is a statutory process for doing that. I don't know whether I've answered your question properly there, Chairman.
Three things, totally unrelated to each other. I totally agree that County Hall wasn't really just office space. It was always perceived as, you know, by that argument you would say the Palace of Westminster is office space, and I don't think people would define it in that way. But we've had that argument, and at some point it has to be left to lie, I suppose. There are 2 other things. We disposed through a quirk of a school in one of our villages, Dunham Hill School. It lies in a very prime site, and it is operating as an independent day school. And I do not see what value we get out of it. I do not see what value is added to the village, because they already had a perfectly good community centre 500 yards down the road. And if we're going to maximise, I think you've really got to look at that again, because I did say I would raise this on an annual basis until I was satisfied. So I would like you to look at that, what actually benefit it adds to that community, because I can't see it myself. And the third thing is Coronation Road. If that is going to become something we're considering disposing of, can we think ahead a bit? Because in Ellesmere Port, we'll be building a new academy on the site where the hub is, and maybe that would be a good use of it. You've probably already thought of that. Thanks, Chair.
Do you want me to deal with those? First one, statement. The Quirk Dunham Hill School. It was during the old previous organisation. I believe that it was actually sold to the community for a value, as I understand it. But I will look into that, and I will go back and look at it. I certainly, Councillor Johnson was here. She'd probably know a lot more about it than me. But I will go away and I will look into that, and I'll come back to the whole committee about that, because I think it was sold. It did end up having a value attached to it, and if the value was not paid, it was going to be returned to the council. But I don't know that for sure. I'll check that out.
Carefully, because there was a clause written in that it would be reviewed over a period of time, and if it was found that it wasn't serving the purpose that it was deemed it would have, then we could bring it back, because it was given away virtually.
Okay. I'll definitely look into that.
But it wasn't that Quirk thing, and we did dispose of 3. That was one of 3 we were invited to.
That was the Winsford one's another one, wasn't it?
Yeah, and one in the east.
Okay. And the Coronation Road thing is absolutely quite right. We were looking as part of our asset management process to reduce our running costs, and that's why we've decanted from there. In terms of how we move that forward, as some of you will know, we're looking at this in a cluster, because across the road is Disability Day Centre, which is not really fit for purpose, and there's some plans for moving away from that. Behind that is a not particularly good children's centre and health centre that needs perhaps investment. Next door to it is an ambulance station. Next door to that is a fire station that they want to get out of. It is, when you look at it as a cluster, and we've started this thing called, with our stakeholders, public sector stakeholders, we started a quarterly meeting, and all of the partners have identified that, well, we need to get our act together, because that will be something that will be very important as a development site, but maybe as the academy comes on stream and other things change. And it's a key town centre location, because it's next door to Asda, isn't it? But that's absolutely right. We're not looking at disposing of that. Well, we would like to dispose of it, but it's no point doing it in isolation. We have a duty to look at it in the round sound. So it's very well good point made by Councillor American. Make sure we keep that on board.
A lot of you. Ken has been offered to us, seconded to us, or has been offered to help, volunteer to help from the Chief Executive's Department with regard to the review of town and parish councils, because I'm very conscious, and I'm sure members are, that all our great plans have been somewhat held up and stifled from various reasons. The last point that we reached was, having tried to have task and finish groups involving specific members of the local councils on them, we found it very difficult to get fair and reasonable proportionate arrangements when we are dealing, of course, with around about 1,000 town and parish council laws, and to actually sort of have just 2 or 3 per task and finish group was particularly onerous, and inevitably you had the difficulty that the usual suspects were the ones that were coming forward, and we had vexed issues of political proportionality, which we'd never intended to get into in the first place. That brought us on to the idea of holding a series of seminars, a number of seminars, some of which Ken discusses in this report, and we tried to get those seminars up and running before Christmas, but for various reasons we've struggled. So one of the problems Cheshire West struggles with is opening up and giving resources to local councils directly, when of course there are so many other priorities that the council has got to manage. Recognising all of that, Ken hopefully is going to be the man that's going to give us tremendous oomph and impetus, get a whole raft of things moving, and hence this report, which I know you've only just received, which is one of the reasons I'm filling so you can all read whilst I'm nattering. Ken gave me a draft report last Thursday night. I turned it round on Friday, and I received this copy in the post yesterday, and some of you are reading it now. So it's not Ken's fault It was turned around as rapidly as it could be, but we do apologise